Hello and welcome back. So, we've all seen him by now, right? A big, angry, half-naked dude covered in metal chains who is apparently the source of most of our woes on Azeroth. I mean, the Lich King, a whole bunch of other schemes like with Muzala that almost took us out, and of course, all of Sylvanas' recent shenanigans. I mean, for somebody who is apparently responsible for so much death and destruction directly on us, we really don't know that much about him. And with him being such a new addition to the lore, yeah, a lot of people are a bit confused. I mean, we all know he's the big bad of the Shadowlands expansion, but it's very much unlike how, yeah, we knew Arthas was the big bad of World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King, but we also knew who Arthas was. So today what we're going to do is we're going to change that. We're going to take everything that is known in the deepest dungeons of the lore about Zovaal, the Jailor, the primary villain of the Shadowlands, and, well, we're going to bring it to you. You'll be able to see it clearly all, of course, with Glasses USA, today's sponsor. I've worn glasses for quite a while. I've never liked shopping for them, though. I mean, the whole thing, you know what it's like? It's overpriced, it's a hassle, but not with GlassesUSA.com, because they cut out the middleman, and they'll give you prescription glasses at up to 70% off. And if you click my link below, you'll get a great offer and free shipping. Now, for me, it's quite hard to know what glasses actually work, so that's where the virtual mirror is super handy. You can basically see what they look like, you know, against each other, which is really great. And that plus their massive range is a lot easier than slowly trying things on in a shop. Also, they've got an app that scans your current glasses and tells you what your prescription is, so that's pretty magical, and dead handy if, like me, you've lost your prescription card. Now, what I really loved about the whole process was getting glasses to cover all of my bases. So I've got these are such a nice fit. I've then also got these big blue light filtering ones, great for my eye health, and also they fit my Oculus Quest perfectly, so I actually use these when I'm doing VR games, so I do quite a bit. Also, I've never owned prescription sunglasses before, so I've actually got a few different ones. I've got these guys as well, and it's just great having options there. I mean, these are in a regular reading glasses frame, which I think is really neat. GlassUSA.com have got a massive range. They are the place to go for glasses, and you will get a special offer from my link down below in that description. And the whole thing is risk-free with a 100% money-back guarantee. A big thanks to GlassUSA.com for, well, upping my glasses game and helping out the channel. And with that said, let's get into the video. There are a lot of unknowns, so let's start by establishing the fundamentals. His name is Zovaal. He has been referred to as the Banished One, and he is a being of Titan plus power, according to Blizzard in interviews. We also know he's an Eternal One. They're a race that make up the Pantheon of Death, which basically means the Covenant leaders. He is the Jailor of the Damned. He wards over the truly evil souls that are sent to the Maw, but he himself is also chained to the Maw, damned to the same fate as those souls that he torments. Now we know that he was imprisoned by the other Eternal Ones long ago for what they describe as treachery. And that's essentially the fundamentals of Zovaal. Now that we know these fundamentals, well, let's see what else we can figure out. The Jailor being imprisoned has to work indirectly, so that means we can get significant information from the actions of his agents. Now, if we go way back, the Nathrezim ignited a war between the cosmic forces. It is heavily implied in an ancient document that they were created by Sire Denarius for this specific purpose: to spy, to divide, and to manipulate. This is an epoch-spanning plan that was a success. And with Sargeras' downfall and the imprisonment of the Titans, what we see is actually the forces of order and disorder being taken out of the picture. The stage, therefore, was set for death to make its moves. And with Sargeras' downfall and the imprisonment of the Titans at the end of the Legion expansion, effectively the forces of order and disorder were taken out of the picture. The stage, therefore, was set for death to begin its path to dominance. Tracing a line from the Nathrezim via Sire Denarius to the Jailor tells us that Zovaal needed to destabilize the cosmic order before striking at his ultimate goal, and don't worry, we'll get to it. Denarius, for his part, is of course one of the Eternal Ones. Now, it's been made clear that he is in league with the Jailor, but it seems like it's actually been the case for a long time. You see, the Primus of Maldraxxus believed that the Jailor had help when he committed his crime against the Eternal Ones, perhaps the original sin that got him locked up in the Maw. Now, this help could in fact have been Denarius, because if the Dreadlords were via Denarius, and they've been operating for an extremely long time, then yes, maybe that connection really does run back a long, long time. And if so, then yes, that's an ancient, ancient league, and it's something that's really shown that the machinery of death and those who maintain it, well, that they've been deeply compromised. Now, over all of this time, he hoarded anima in the bowels of Castle Nathria, and when the Jailor was ready to make his move, Denarius ruptured the walls of the castle and spilt millennia of anima into the Maw. This tells us that the Jailor needs a lot of anima for something. Of course, Denarius is but one example. There are many others, from Sylvanas catalyzing the Fourth War, through to the machinery of death breaking, and even things that you may not be aware of, such as Muzala making a almost Azeroth-destroying, Azeroth-consuming appearance in Warcraft Traveler, something that was, ostensibly, a children's book. As you can see, the Jailor has allies and plans absolutely everywhere, and they are all hell-bent on working towards claiming his ultimate prize. Don't worry, we'll cover that, and it of course involves us. The next telling aspect of the Jailor's agent's actions is the chaos that is engulfing the Shadowlands right now. The Primus has gone missing, and Maldraxxus has fallen into civil war, knocking out the self-defense system of the Shadowlands. Then next, of course, the anima drought is killing Ardenweald almost literally, and it's consuming all of the Winter Queen's attention, and perhaps even directly sapping her power. Bastion then is going through an existential crisis, with the guiding purpose of the Kyrians falling apart and the dark parts of it leading to division. The Jailor is expending, clearly, a lot of effort to distract the other Eternal Ones. Yes, revenge plays a role, but more importantly here, it tells us that he actually does fear these individuals, that he knows that they could stop him. He knows they have the knowledge and the power to be able to thwart his plan and ruin his plan for death as a cosmic force and what it's going to do. But it gets worse for us. The Jailor's Maw-sworn army is massive. It in fact rivals, at the very least, if not eclipses, the army of the Legion before its defeat. He has recruited the vilest souls from the Maw and has used Helya to corrupt Kyrians into his ranks. He used Kel'Thuzad to raise an army in Maldraxxus, and then, of course, with the machinery of death breaking, his Maw-sworn ranks swell every single day. He's got an army more immense than the Legion, and that tells us one very important thing. Think about the scale of what the Legion tried to do, and think about how Zovaal now has a larger army. Yes, he has cosmos-ending ambitions. So to recap here, we know that the Jailor's agents have destabilized the cosmos at a deep fundamental level. They've struck out against every single covenant. They are hoarding anima, and they even have a cosmos-ending army. Alright, Bolvar opened the portal to the Shadowlands, we crossed the Veil, only to find ourselves in the Maw. And this is when we got our first one-on-one with the Jailor himself. And just as we were about to escape, well, this is what he told us.
Death comes for the soul of your world. All that you see, all that you know, will be undone.
This is where we really start to understand what his actual goals are, and as you're going to see, he should maybe add that it's not about undoing things, it's about remaking, and it's about fundamentally changing the fabric of the cosmos, changing how everything works, basically within the system in which all of our characters and souls and all of that exist. And really, it's later when we see the conversation between Sylvanas and Anduin, the promised cutscene that would apparently explain all of Sylvanas' motivations, that we do begin to understand more. Sadly, the cutscene didn't do a great job of explaining Sylvanas' motivations. It didn't really explain why she actually did what she did. It really, in fact, told us more about the Jailor's ambitions, but just using her voice. So, consider her words here.
You know the truth. Nothing is fair. Not life, not death. So we're going to tear it all down.
To this rather edgy statement, Anduin chastises her, finding it pretty damn hard to believe that she, sitting there in black with her dramatic makeup on, clad in skulls, has actually been fighting for justice for the entire time. But then here's the thing from the Jailor's perspective. What is justice? Because the justice of the Jailor and the justice of Stormwind are two very, very different things. The justice of Stormwind is something that's a bit more akin to what we would understand, but with the Jailor, it's very different. This tells us that he not only wants to destroy the universal order, but he wants to replace it with a system that he thinks is just. Essentially, he's rejecting the toy box he's been given, he's throwing it out of the pram, and he wants to do things fundamentally different. Whereas for Anduin, for him, justice very much is existing within the boundaries of what we know and the way that things are. And that's the big difference and what the Jailor actually wants. And the fun thing is that whilst finalizing the script for this video, another cinematic was discovered. This time, it is the Jailor and Sylvanas speaking to each other. They are talking about a weapon that they're creating, like Anduin himself. The Jailor seems intent, in fact, on torturing Anduin into shape. But Sylvanas is convinced that if Anduin actually believes in their cause of reforming the workings of the cosmos to be something more just, that then Anduin would become a greater weapon. Yeah, pretty surprising, and good luck to her, because I don't think he's going to break. Now, there's obviously big lore implications here for Anduin going forward. He is going to be a key foundational character. But for now, what this basically tells us is that the Jailor works indirectly. He crafts individuals like the Lich King, like Sylvanas, and now, like what he's probably going to try to do to Anduin. He crafts them into tools to further his purpose and eventually allow him to break out and unleash the power, the immense power that he has upon us in some form of direct action. Our second and most telling interaction with the Jailor, then, is through the eyes of the Rune Carver. The Rune Carver is chained up in Torghast, having knowledge to enchant weapons and armor being tortured from his mind. But the Jailor demands more, and, well, let's take a look at what he actually demands.
Your grandest desire to claim the final prize. The secret that the first one sought to hide. Yes, your finest warblade. And a crown fit for the king of the damned.
This, in combination with a few other things, tells us so much. I mean, the obvious question, what is his final prize? Early signs point to his final prize being Azeroth herself. Remember, the Jailor said, death comes for the soul of your world. Now, in this little cutscene, we then see Frostmourne in the Helm of Domination, and this directly confirms that both items were in fact tortured out of the Rune Carver's mind. Zovaal proclaims that the helm is fit for the king of the damned, right? And brought together, it tells us the exact purpose of the Lich King. Frostmourne and the helm were the Rune Carver's grandest designs, and through them, the Lich King would unlock the Jailor's final prize. Now, this confirms our speculations about the Lich King, which of course you can check out here, and it really does show us that the ultimate goal there was for the Lich King to claim Azeroth for the Jailor, which likely would have given him access to that world soul and all the power within. So, from these personal interactions with the Jailor that we've seen, we've learnt his ultimate ambition, that it is to basically destroy and remake the cosmic order, rebuild it into something that he considers just. We of course have no idea what that is. His ultimate prize, presumably the thing that will give him the power to win, was purposefully hidden from him by the First Ones, as we learn in that cinematic. And then finally, we know that the Lich King project was intent to be the key to unlocking this final prize. So if you put all of these points together, then yes, you can assume the final prize is Azeroth's soul, and that does then make me wonder, and here's the big thing, how much of that did Sargeras know when he tried to kill her? Because Sargeras tried to destroy Titan so the Void couldn't get it. did Sargeras know that it would be almost, maybe even worse, if death actually got it? Now that we've established what we know and how to fully understand the Jailor as a character, let's talk about what we do not know. There is so much mystery here, and the first thing we have to ask is, well, what are the Jailor's crimes? What the hell did he do to end up in this situation that he's currently in? We know it was some form of treachery. Now, this could mean interpersonal betrayal between him and the other First Ones, or it could be broader cosmic treachery. Perhaps against the First Ones, maybe they're the people who made him, or perhaps against the function of the Shadowlands as set up by them. It was the Archon, the Winter Queen, and the Primus, all Eternal Ones, who chained up the Jailor, but we still do not know why. And there could be a clue in Ardenweald because the Winter Queen tells us that it is the magic from the heart of the forest that actually keeps the Jailor bound in the maw, right? And keeps it like an escapable situation. So I think for that, definitely keep an eye on their future Covenant campaign. So if it's the power of Ardenweald that is actually keeping him locked up, we then have to ask ourselves, well, why is he locked up? And that's where there are a few options. We can likely find hints at the Jailor's crimes from Dantes Inferno. As a depiction of the afterlife, the Shadowlands is in a bunch of ways inspired by Dante's Divine Comedy. It is split into distinct realms, and a soul goes to the one that is best suited for them. Now, this is the most clear with Revendreth, the sphere of ironic punishment. In the epic poem, Satan is God's most perfect creation, and because of that, he wanted to be as powerful as the divine. Satan was sentenced to poetic justice and sent to hell, which had 9 rings, just like the 9 wings of Torghast. I wonder where they got the 9 from. He, though, would be the Jailor of the damned, whilst also eternally being tormented for his arrogance. And I think the story could point us in the direction of the Jailor's crimes, that he maybe wanted to be, in some way, as powerful as the First Ones, and that basically that's what's going on with his punishment. I actually think that does fit, whereas perhaps the other Eternals, right, the Winter Queen and co, they were actually okay being in their place and carrying out their purpose. But no, Zovaal wanted more. He wanted to question his creator and perhaps, well, rise to that level of power and remake things the way that he thought they should be. And therefore, his punishment is rather fitting. So before we give you a grounded answer, let's step away from what's established and let's speculate on his original crime a little more. We suspected that the Jailor had something removed from his chest. I mean, just look at the model of him. He's got this cavity missing. And it's been long speculated that it's actually the black ball that's in the Arbiter's chest. And this implied relationship between those two characters could point to a bit of a lore-shattering revelation, that Zovaal's original purpose was in fact to organize the souls of the Shadowlands. Maybe he was the most wise, perfect, and balanced being, and that's why he ended up being, well, the one who turned the way that he did. Now I obviously have to remember here that I have seen the leaked, not Blizzard do not approve of it, we won't be showing it, but I have seen the the leaked vision of what the Jailor looked like before he was bizarre, naked, angry, covered in metal dude. And given the art direction there, I wouldn't be surprised that this is actually getting close to being the case. But knowing that he wants to rebuild the Cosmic Order, that at least tells us that he's arrogant enough to think that he can. So could it actually be that he was given his original position in the Shadowlands and he rebelled? He wanted to change the fundamental systems placed atop reality by the First Ones. To do that, he would require divine power. That's power above his station, power rivaling those who built the Shadowlands. So could that actually point us towards his original crime? I think it could. Now, we don't know if Zovaal was tricked into chains or if he was defeated in battle, but no matter what, he ended up in the maw. His essential purpose, perhaps, whatever is in his chest that gives him that power over souls, that was ripped out. And then the artificers of the Shadowlands created the Arbiter, her name literally being a subversion of Zovaal's ambition, right, to arbitrarily arbitrate the purpose of the First Ones. And maybe that could point to the purpose, the sort of defining religious system of the Shadowlands, being maybe a bit of an overcorrection. Consider that Zovaal's actions would have caused a crisis in the Shadowlands, and that then the purpose was instituted so it could never happen again. And that's maybe why the Shadowlands is such a dogmatic place that, the Kyrians are so clearly willing to just completely be doomed and stupid and blinded by their purpose, even though it obviously does not work. Now, my final thought here is that we know that Zovaal is a first one. We know that each of his kin has got a clear purpose, right? You've got the Winter Queen for nature, the Archon for service, Denarius for redemption, the Primus for war. It then makes you think, what was Zovaal's original purpose, right? What was that? Again, that's something that I think we'll find out, and when we do, it will be a massive revelation that will inform so much about the expansion. So when considering the Jailor, the Brokers are a line of investigation that for us keeps on getting more and more mysterious. Like us, the Brokers are guests in Oribos, and they seem incredibly powerful. Foreman Al-Barak tells us, "We Brokers travel the universe and learn from the masters of every reality we can find." Not only that, and that's pretty big, but they hunt powerful creatures from around the universe to get them to fight in the Theater of Pain. They do that for the Necrolords, and that even includes Naru. That's pretty big. In Oribos, cartel members can be overheard talking about a sepulchre that they're looking for, right? Now, the Jailor is also on the hunt for this, right? He says so, and whatever's inside, it is something that's sure to help him. That is a massive mystery, and it's one that'll probably come up in a future patch. There's also then Venari. Her own cartel are wary of her own, operation in the Maw. There's a whole bunch of secrets there. She told us never to tell anyone under any circumstances that she is there. So there may be more of a connection between her and the wider mysteries of the Shadowlands than we may think. I mean, hold tight. We're going to bring this one all together too in a forthcoming video on the Brokers, just like we did for the Ethereals, who, over in the reality side of things, they are doing weird things. Okay, now that we've got everything lined up, let's consider the question. Who is the Jailor? Well, he's an eternal one. He was one who was banished to the Maw. He was likely created by the first ones for some purpose, some unique purpose, and he was designed for that, just like how the Winter Queen is made for nature. He betrayed his race, right? He betrayed his kin, and he turned his back on the purpose that the first ones, who are the group who set this entire shindig up, created him for. And for this betrayal, he was chained up in the Maw. He was kept locked away by the magic of Ardenweald. The Jailor had agents outside of the Maw. One big one, Sire Denarius, who, through the Nathrezim, has been setting the stage for Zovaal's return for a long time indeed. The Jailor gathered, over time, many more powerful agents, including Sylvanas, Muzala, Kel'Thuzad, and Helya. His schemes brought the Lich King to Azeroth in search of his final prize, likely Azeroth herself. And he is now at the final stages of that plan. He is on the cusp of claiming the soul of our world, which, likely, will give him universal domination. And once he achieves that, his goal is to rebuild the entire cosmic order in a way that he thinks is just. That big cosmology chart that Blizzard rolls out from time to time, he wants to rip the whole thing up and redo it. There's still so many unknowns here, including how to actually beat the guy. But understanding the Jailor brings light to the cosmos ending stakes that are at play. As the Jailor himself said, all that you see, all that you know, will be undone. And that, fundamentally, is what we're fighting for. Will Blizzard be able to get our characters to care about the mechanics of the universe? Well, that's certainly going to be a tall order, so hopefully they're going to be able to do this via characters that we care about. There you go, that's the situation with the Jailor. A big thanks to Glasses USA for sponsoring today's video. Get a whole bunch of glasses at a great price. Check out that link down below, and they really do make just being able to dive into the lore in a really big, long way like this, like a thing that's like actually possible and good to do. So, a big thanks to them. And as for the Jailor, look, let me know down below, what do you think his original sin is? What do you think he did, right? What was the betrayal? What did he do? Why does he look the way that he does now? What did he originally look like? Let's have a chat about that in the comments and see if we can maybe learn, maybe scry forward to where he's going to end up and just what the hell he did. What an interesting character, but I think only interesting if you're a massive lore nerd and you actually look into these things. It's fun on paper. It's just, I think there just needs to be a few more cinematics, a few more interactions for your average Joe who's just playing the game, seeing what's presented to them, to actually get what's going on. That's it for me. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.